Psychologists, what do people think is normal, but it is not? Thinking that 5 hours of sleep at night is okay. The attitudes of your parents. There are many bad things that current parents do that look normal when they are not, and they have lasting psychological effects due to emotional damage. The behavior of self-sabotage can ruin your life quickly. If you have an event in your life that has affected you negatively, and it seems that it exhibits irrational or incongruent behaviors, consult a counselor. You don't have to have any specific pathology to seek mental well-being advice. Often, exaggerated reactions are a sign that someone has accumulated a lot of internal pressure. They usually vent all that emotional problem. People often see it as a symptom of deeper problems, but on the other hand, they attribute it to an aggressive or impatient personality. If someone goes through a period of depression and leaves the same feeling euphoric, be careful because he could have feelings to take his life away. Where there is a feeling of euphoria, it is due to the fact that they are euphoric because they finally found a way out of their misery. If you are whining about one of your priorities, or Mike Gobierno da, signals both right and wrong. What happens if you own a book? Change the side of your mind. Wave rapid news about your situation. Avoid or repeat your projects tend to suffer, or the continuer to lie can cause a sense of ignorance. And on the other hand, they may avoid the other person. When your partner pays attention to your interests and only encourages you to do things they believe they should interest you. When your partner constantly interrupts the flow of their conversation, and they are its guess, what soon equals the entire decision-making. When your partner ignores or silently appreciates the good things you do, but exaggerates your mistakes and gaps disproportionately. When your partner makes use of your deepest insecurities to gain arguments. As authors say, requests are more frequently used to increase issues that rely on blunt judgment, more clearly as scenes. People normalize the abusive behaviors of their loved ones all the time. Being able to identify their own personal limits and then impose them on others for their own well-being, unfortunately, is not innate. Therapists here. If you believe or are currently part of a family where the whole family has to work to keep one or more members of the family in good mood or at ease, that is not healthy. People are in charge of their own feelings. It is not your job to pacify others so that they can regulate themselves emotionally. I have worked with many mentally ill children, children with panic attacks, children with post-traumatic stress disorder of being attacked, children with anxiety problems, children with depression. And a common thread is that they never said anything, but often they did, and they told them that they were being dramatic, doing it just to call her. They were not paying attention, exaggerating too much, doing something out of the blue, being ungrateful for their good life, following the trend, or just being bitter or jealous. These things were told to people who are supposed to protect them, friends, counselors, teachers, parents, relatives. Eventually, they stop saying anything until they get involved, and their problems are too big for someone to ignore them. Do not wait until someone is screaming or throwing themselves into a precipice to take action. Be serious about it. Psychotherapist here. Some things that I regularly see that could have been detected before they became a problem. Unhealthy coping mechanisms. For example, drinking to relax frequently or smoking a lot. Even something like promiscuity can be a warning sign that a person is trying to avoid dealing with something stressful, distracting themselves. Self-harm, hitting your head with things, burn yourself, cutting yourself, etc. All those things indicate that it is time to talk to a professional. Normal behavior of children or adolescents that are actually not normal, such as running away or getting into fights. Not communicating. When this happens, something is usually wrong, not always, since some people are calmer than others. But if a child, teenager, adult rarely speaks, or if he remains silent in the presence of his parents or his partner, it is time to see a professional only to evaluate his safety. I have seen people who are literally closed for having been deeply attacked by the people they live with, and one of the main signs of that is silence. I have also seen people in perfectly good homes who cannot communicate. Due to extreme anxiety and professional help, they find it difficult to overcome this. Humor changes. When a person's mood changes from one extreme to another quite frequently and regularly, that is another worrisome symptom. Sometimes they are considered eccentric or hormonal, but that type of thing can be a sign of many problems, from bipolar disorder to post-traumatic stress disorder. There have been many of my patients who have been quite surprised when I have told them, "Hey, that's anxiety or depression," when they thought their behaviors were typical for everyone. Some such as not being able to maintain friendships, being constantly nervous about the safety of their children, to the point where they hate being alone with their children without their partner, not being able to motivate themselves to do things, especially things that they once enjoyed, feeling excessively tired all the time, not being able to calm down and just think about the same thoughts over and over again and feeling worried. A good general rule to determine whether a behavior or symptom should be verified is the same as the one used in the case of depression. It is the same that we use to determine a diagnosable disorder if it causes deterioration in one or more areas of life. The range of what is normal is enormous, but if something prevents you from going to school or work, it prevents you from maintaining basic hygiene, maintaining your friendships, family relationships, or romantic relationships. It is causing a deterioration and should seek help. The biggest thing I have seen in my personal and professional life is the rapid change of mood or personality. Someone who has been depressed or withdrawn suddenly is much brighter, laughs more, and talks about how well things are going. They could even make plans for the future, such as trips or going back to school. In my line of work, they will often begin to participate more in their treatment plan or create new goals for themselves. It is very misleading, but if you know the person as you should, the most likely thing is that you take advantage of this change as a risk of taking your life away instead of a better life. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen so fast. It wasn't until I met my wonderful mother-in-law that I realized how horrible my narcissistic mother really is. Don't be afraid to seek advice. Trauma doesn't have to be a big event. It can be 1,000 mini events. Incapacity to regulate your own emotions. In addition, negative internal dialogue. We talk to ourselves much worse than any other person. A small thing that is common in my field, engineering, and many others is the imposter syndrome. I don't know the finest details, but it can be reduced to believing that you can't do a job good enough to meet the expectations of others or yours. This causes doubts about oneself and other mental problems. From my own experience, it can be confused with being extremely humble. Observe others for this behavior, because it can become very destructive if it manifests itself for too long. If one of these people shows you something that they are proud of, it is because they worked very hard on it and want others to enjoy it with them. I wouldn't say I suffer it, to be fair. I probably wouldn't admit it if I knew it, but I struggle with that from time to time. Know your self-esteem. This is one that you should take into account in yourself. If you have a job that you want to do, but when your daily life only includes the minimum essential to get ahead, you cook, you clean, you go to work, but in reality you are not doing anything fun, exciting, or attractive. Maybe everything you are cooking is what is easier. Your house or apartment is not dirty, but it is not clean either, and you just spend your day at work in pain. Everything is fine, but nothing is fine. This is the stage that usually precedes the total loss of interest. Nothing is wrong yet, but there is a possibility that it will come. The need for some parents to talk to their children about the problems of adults. No! Your little son does not need to know that you are struggling financially or that dad slept with the lady next door. I have seen many people discard their depression or another mental illness because it is not so bad or other people have it worse, or I can or should be able to handle it on my own. You should not have to suffer a mental illness, even if you can technically do it. You deserve to be happy, and therapists and psychiatrists are there to help you learn how to help yourself. It is not a weakness to find someone who can help you discover coping skills or prescribe medications to help you tune the neurotransmitters in your brain. There are many things really. Even the craziest things can be normalized. At the extreme, I know a patient whose father occasionally attacked her, sometimes while showering, because she had not done the house chores and she considered it normal. I have learned through my studies and personal experience, when someone stops taking care of themselves in terms of appearance and hygiene, that is, not brushing their hair, not washing their hair, not using dirty clothes, not bothering with the little things they would normally do, such as makeup or regularly washing dishes. When you are fighting, those little things really go to the background. And thank you very much for watching the video, friends. Remember that you can comment on stories you have about this question, and comment on what was the story that impacted you the most. Remember to leave your like, subscribe, comment, and share the video.